All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're back at it with another MLB DFS slate. Kind of it's a small slate, and there really is. I shouldn't say there isn't much to get into, but you'll understand a little later. But you want to recap a little bit on what happened yesterday?
Not really, but I will. I mean, the Angels chalk just nuked. Uh, Renfroe went out, Drury, Otani. Kind of figures. I mean, Oakland just keeps throwing out the worst lineup in history. It's just going to keep happening. Thank God the Angels are not on the main slate today because it would just be all Angels outfield again, and then
Mhm.
maybe a base player. But um, what else? Pitching sucked. It was so bad. Hunter Brown just absolutely carved up Tampa, which was, I mean, I guess it's in his bag. I'm not sure. He's a new kid on the block, so I guess he showed off his ceiling there. Mackenzie Gore carved up the Mets. Mets look terrible. Going to be chalk again today. I'm sure we're going to play him somehow. Contreras played good against the Dodgers. Dodgers were pretty chalky. If Freddie Freeman didn't hit one out in the bottom of the eighth, they would have full on, dudded zero. Sandoval was fine, which is kind of irritating because he gave up a couple in like the first or maybe it was the second. But then he held on for like 105 pitches in 7 innings. Uh, Senga was meh. Like I think he was a fine fade at his price. Alcantara was fine-ish. Um, and that was about it. I mean, we played Mats just to get all the bats, and it didn't work because Alonso and Lindor were over 8 combined.
And to like make matters worse about it, it was to the Nationals. And I know Mackenzie Gore's got this high upside, and he's supposed to be this great prospect, and he showed out pretty well yesterday, but I was sitting here thinking, like, please, like, one of our guys just get a home run or, like, at least an RBI double, just put some points up. And they went over 8. And you just mentioned something. Alonso is over 16, like, the last, like, 4 games. And I got a
Yeah,
feeling we're going to play him again today, but that's okay.
probably.
Uh,
Yeah, but today's slate looks interesting. Great pitching options, which is fun. I mean, yesterday sucked because pitching sucked, but it also looks pretty deceiving because the Twins are going to be chalk, and we know how those slates go. So
God, I hate the Twins so much, but they're in a great spot. So that means they're going to put up 3 runs, and they're going to be the 7, 8, 9 batters that are actually going to do everything.
yep.
Before we talk about stacks and stuff, you want to just knock out pitching because there really isn't much to get to. But
Yeah. So Cole and McClanahan are obviously the top two today. Uh, Cole with a little bit of a tougher matchup, but we just saw the Reds sweep the Rangers. So Uh, Cole's obviously in play. McClanahan gets the White Sox who haven't been able to hit the ball in like a month. Um, Dylan Cease is also in line for, a pretty good outing here, probably. We just saw Hunter Brown carve up Tampa yesterday. Dylan Cease, Cy Young in contention type arm. 9,900 is a fair price. I'll probably end up paying up for Cole or McClanahan just because the Twins are so cheap, and we'll probably fall on that twin sword anyways. So those guys are probably top two. Molly's in a fine spot against KC. We know they can dud pretty easily. I don't know if I really want to test Heaney out today, and that's pretty much it. Kyle Gibson's just too overpriced. Even against Detroit, I think that was he dropped 60 on him last time out, but at 10-2, he's like an 8K guy.
yeah, I agree pretty much with everything. I was even telling you earlier, Dylan Cease at 9,900. I can't remember the last time he wasn't under 10K. Maybe there was like a time last season, but I don't really remember. Again, it's Tampa, but also again, it's the White Sox. So you kind of have to rely on the offense, and they've been scoreless in the last like 3 or 4 games. So who knows? Maybe they turn that around today, but it's also funny because in the stacks they're like the last, like the worst stack on the slate. So um, I guess if you want to go a cheaper bet, go with Molly or Mail, whatever the hell this guy's last name is, just because he's got a great matchup against KC. But ownership between those four, Garrett Cole, Shane McClellan, Dylan Cease, and Tyler Mail, they're, Garrett Cole for 33 is like supposed to be like the highest on the slate for pitchers. But then you have McClellan, Cease, and Mail at 15 to 16, and they're like really close together. Those got to be your top four. Andrew Heaney against the Yankees, no way. Gibson is interesting, but you're right, he is overpriced. It's just, great matchup, and he's projected for 2%. So, I mean, I guess if you want to, just because he's going to be 2%, and, you get the strikeouts, hopefully, you get the quality start and the win, you're in a great spot at 2% ownership. But I mean,
Yeah, and
I'm not prioritizing him just because there's, aces. There's like three aces on the mound today. So, and you would kind of have to like hope that Garrett Cole, Shane McCoy, and Dylan Cease, you would have to hope that those guys don't get their value. And then Kyle Gibson gets there. That's the only kind of like downside about it, I guess you can say. But
yeah, I was gonna say the only other arm to really mention, I guess, is Lucchesi for the Mets. He's projecting for like 10% against Washington. Don't really know much about him, but that's another flyer to take a shot on if you want.
yeah, I don't really know anything on him, but you know, good matchup against Washington. Why not? More of a more of a dart throw. Again, kind of like yesterday. Like we built out our stacks and then unfortunately had to play Mats and got rocked. But I mean, this isn't a slate to do that because you actually have some good pitchers on the mound for today.
Yeah, I wish
Um,
McClanahan was at more of a discount to Cole. Like if you look at the pricing on DraftKings, he's like a whole like 1,500 or 1,200 cheaper. So I think Cole is priority over McClanahan. Um, and then I mean, Cease at 99 is really interesting.
I just don't trust this offense, and especially against McClellan. Hell, he might throw a perfect game.
That is true.
You ready to do stacks? This is
Yeah,
where it gets a little interesting. I'll share it real quick if you just want to talk about whatever.
sure. So the Mets project at the best today against Trevor Williams. I ran a few optimals, and the Mets popped up in almost everything between Alonso, Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, all those guys up top. They're all fairly priced too because of how bad they've been. I mean, Marte's 2,800. We know he's got power. Nimmo is 34. Alonso's 42. Um, just a decent stack to go to today, even though they've failed a ton. I just don't see them getting swept by the Nats at home. They're probably due here. Um, let's see. Minnesota, like we said, is probably going to gain a lot of ownership just because their price tags are so cheap. Buxton's like 2,900. Here, let me just pull up the prices real quick. Yeah, Buxton's 29, Larnick's 28. Polanco's got a hot stick. He's 34, and you can play him at second base, which usually sucks. Joey Gallo has like the only guy in the leagues with like over 800 slugging and 5 home runs right now. Looks like he's back. Correa has been terrible, but another shortstop play at 2,800. I mean, you can just die on the sword of the Twins if you want. We probably will. It's not fun, but I guess Baltimore is probably third for me against Wentz. They can go yard plenty, tons of power up and down the lineup. Not really
Because
on Tampa just because of pricing.
I can understand that. And plus, facing Dylan Cease, I mean, this can be like a under game where the final score is like 2-0 or something like that, depending how far they go. Guess did you see Byron Buxton's ownership projection?
No, but I'm sure it's north of 40.
39. So like
Yeah.
near 40. So you were pretty spot on. Kepler at 25, dear God. Jose Miranda's been hot a little bit. Yesterday he hit 2 home runs at 2,500. You could play him at third or first. I mean, I'm sure, you know, probably playing Alonso at first, but I mean, yeah, Lowe's projected for 6%. So that's a little interesting, but he's 3,400, which I kind of understand. The one stick that kind of intrigues me a bit is the Yankees, and the Yankees are the Yankees. I mean, didn't we have like it was a game where the Twins scored like 9 runs in the first inning. And the only Yankee that actually did something was Rizzo that hit 2 home runs, and I think we like barely cashed or something.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
mean, facing Heaney, and Heaney has been pretty decent this year, but I mean, playing against the Yankees with Gleyber, Torres, Stanton, Judge, Rizzo, those big bats, I mean, might be a little tough. They're projected to be the fourth best slate right now, and you know, Baltimore, Minnesota, and the Mets. I can obviously see why they're above, but I mean, this might be a good spot for the Yankees. Minus
Yeah, I
five
would like them
percent.
more if Stan was back, but he's still on the IL, so I'm off.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah. Just I guess Yankees minis mainly. Just don't like them as a whole.
Yeah, I was leaning more towards like your secondary stack, not like hop on the Yankees immediately, but getting
Hmm.
a couple bats wouldn't be the end of the world. Minnesota, they're just too cheap, and it looks like that they're going to be the chalkiest on the slate. So might as well throw whatever lineup we end up doing into some cash games
Yeah, pretty much.
because it's such a short slate too. So it's not like there's a lot of leverage. I mean, you might be a maniac to do a Rangers and White Sox stack. That's like kind of like if you were to go Washington, KC, Detroit, Texas, and White Sox, like if you were, that's the only way you'll get like leverage, and you might only score like 10 fantasy points. But it's such a
I will
short slate,
say,
so it's like a lot of people have, the same ideas.
yeah, and I was looking at the MLB weather report. It looks like there's about a 40% chance throughout the night that the Twins could get some rain. So, maybe we just get lucky and it gets rained out. We don't have to play them. That'd be great. Or maybe
That would be great.
delay increase. Maybe the delay gets increased and we just fade and hope, they get postponed. Um, that's kind of what we were hoping for yesterday in Seattle. We were on Seattle a little bit. They didn't really go off besides, JP had a grand slam and we were all over Julio Rodriguez. Other than that, Seattle really didn't get there, but we faded them just because we were hoping for the postponement. It didn't happen. Um, but maybe that could happen today in Minnesota.
Hoping so. Um, you want to get into home run calls?
Yeah, I got. Let's see. So my first home run call today is going to be Renfro. Just going to go back to the wall here. I think he's in a good spot again. Going to go to the Twins for and go Jorge Blanco. He's been swinging really, really well since he's been back, and then gonna hopefully end Pete Alonso drought. Go Alonso is my third and final home run call.
Yeah, so those are great. I have probably all the chalky bats compared to you, but I'm gonna go with Mike Trout. That game starts in a couple hours. Um, then I'm gonna go Aaron Judge, just great matchup against Heaney. He hasn't been bad. He's been pretty good, but he's due for a home run, and then I'm gonna go Byron Buxton. So yeah, I'm gonna go Trout, Buxton, and Aaron Judge for today. Just got to see one fall through. I've been
Yep.
cold a little recently, but it happens. Is there anything else we didn't touch on? I mean, I know it's a smaller slate, so we probably don't have too much to talk about.
No, I was just going to say, make sure to check out the lineup on Twitter. We'll drop it about 10-15 before lock. Then we might fall into the trap of playing the single game NBA. Throw it on there too. And make sure to check out Stochastic's tools in the description and like and subscribe if you haven't already.